Hello and welcome. In this episode, I'm going to share with you what we have learned about the amazing acoustics of these ancient buildings. All ancient open theatres, up to the late Roman era at least, had similar basic shape, construction, and good acoustics to support the actors' voices. However, the theatre of Epidavros in Greece excels in this respect and is used as benchmark in our analysis of the acoustic characteristics for such theatres. From ancient times until today, this theatre is renowned for its perfect architectural design and its good acoustics. Today, it is in a well-preserved state, retaining its original form without later Roman-era modifications. It was carefully designed and constructed at the end of the 4th century BC in the sanctuary of Asclepios, the god of medicine, to serve the beneficial effects of good sound on mental and physical health. The architect most likely was Polykleitos the Younger, son of a famous sculptor, and was also a painter and sculptor. The upper range of Kylon was a later 2nd century BC extension. This was a period of great innovations in geometry, mathematics and physics, so it is likely that such state-of-the-art knowledge was the core theoretical background for the design of this theatre. From that time until today, this theatre is located in a rural area with low environmental noise, and of course, noise affects speech intelligibility. So today you can study this theatre in more or less the same conditions as in ancient times, without its stage building, which has been destroyed, and to have acoustical measurements taken there, especially during the past decades, which now allow us to investigate the reasons for such good acoustics. As it is the case with all ancient theatres, there are two different sound perspectives. The first is the sound experienced by the visitors when just walk inside the theatre and make some sound, like clapping their hands. And what we hear is this characteristic, rather metallic sound of what appears to be reflections. We'll be discussing this later. However, we are interested on the other sound perspective. It is the perspective of the audience who are even at the most distant positions. We have clear reception of speech from the stage nearly 60 meters away. We have obtained measurements of the theatre's response in different positions to understand how the sound changes when we are close to the stage or further away. Also, to be closer to what a human listener perceives, we do not only take measurements with a single microphone, but also we use acoustic mannequin, which is called dummy head, and has two microphones in the positions of the ears, recording binaural sounds. We also measure noise level and the strength of the sound. These measurements show that speech intelligibility, extracted from this data, would be nearly perfect irrespective of the positions in the theatre. From all these measurements taken in the past, I must make a special mention to a set of measurements obtained by colleagues of ours, Psaras and Koundouras, who 10 years ago obtained very detailed and elaborate measurements, not only on a single day, but over weeks. They measured the responses, as I have described previously, but also they measured the changes of such responses when audience was present. It was found that the perfect speech intelligibility was unaffected by the presence of audience. They also measured many environmental factors that could potentially affect the transmission and the characteristics of the sound and the response of the theatre, such as the wind effect, the difference in temperature, the humidity, etc. It is very important to be able to dissociate such factors from the main transmission characteristics of the sound in order to be certain that the theatre's good acoustics are due to the shape, the slope, the specific dimension of the benches, and of course the material that has been used. However, you cannot change the laws of physics. If the level of speech is low at 60 meters away, and if noise level is high, then speech intelligibility will suffer. However, actors speak with very loud, even shouting voices. They are trained for that, and as we'll be hearing from this audio demonstration, the noise from the audience, it's not really distracting speech clarity. Listen carefully to this audio demonstration. It was recorded by the acoustic mannequin, it's a binaural recording, having two microphones in the position of the artificial ears located nearly 60 meters away at the top rows during a modern-day performance of ancient drama which did not use any electroacoustic amplification for the actors' voices. The performance was on 23rd of July 2011 and approximately 7,000 people were in the audience. It was the performance of Euripides Media, and it is the actress Amalia Moutousi in the role of Media and Aris Lebesopoulos as Kreon. You'll find details about this performance in the description.
Σε μένα αφήστε με να ζω σε αυτήν εδώ τη γη. Όταν αυτοί που με αδικούν είναι πιο δυνατοί από μένα, σωπαίνω. Έχω μάθει να νικιέμαι, όχι να νικάω.
Τα λόγια σου είναι μαλακά, τα χαίρεται η ακοή μου. Όμως παραμέσα σφίγγεται ο νους μου και φοβούμαι για το κακό που σε ικανεί να εργαστείς. Και τώρα, πολύ λιγότερο από πριν, νιώθω να σε εμπιστεύομαι. Από γυναίκα οξύθυμη που ξεσπάει και δείχνει την οργή της, όπως και από άντρα, είναι εύκολο να φυλαχθείς. Όχι όμως από τον σιωπηλό σοφό. Φύγε γρήγορα, πάψε να μιλάς! Δεν μπορώ να σε αφήσω να μείνεις αφού ξέρω πόσο με εχθρεύεσαι.
Σε παρακαλώ, στα γόνατα προσπέφτω. Σε σένα και στην κόρη σου.
Ξοδεύεις τα λόγια σου, ποτέ δεν θα με πείσεις.
Θα με διώξεις.
This little audio example confirms what we have also found by the measurements. Speech is exceptionally clear and intelligible, and the audience noise, although it's present, it's never distracting. Listening carefully with good headphones, you could even locate the position and movement of the actors on the stage. And at 60 meters away, this is really amazing. For a long time, it is known that when some source, an actor, is in the orchestra, then the sound it produces travels to the listener directly. In addition to this, there is also a very important acoustic path which is generated when the sound hits the stage floor, the ground, and then travels as a reflection towards the listener. In the case of Epidavros, the slope of the benches, the kilon, is properly tuned and coincides with the angle that this reflection travels upwards. Actually, the upper section of the kilon is constructed with few degrees steeper angle, which is crucial for such optimal tuning, as we'll see later. Recently, we have understood that additionally to these paths, we have also a more complex and important sound transmission mechanism generated mainly by the direct path and the reflected sound from the ground as they travel upwards. As they travel, they just touch the edges of each row and they produce a wave effect called edge diffraction. Such diffracted sounds travel nearly simultaneously with the direct and the reflected sounds. So, if we have a listener at a distant position in the upper rows, then the diffracted sounds arrive simultaneously, and since the direct signal and the reflection will be very weak due to the large distance, they will add substantial amount of useful energy, helping the listener to clearly perceive the actor's speech. However, when a listener is at the front rows, very close to the stage, then we have a different mechanism. In this case, the direct signal and the ground reflection arrive nearly simultaneously, and they are very strong, since the source is now very close to the listener. However, all the diffracted components from subsequent transmission of the signals to the upper rows arrive with relatively long delays, creating a backscattering effect which has the characteristic metallic sound. So, irrespective of the listener's positions in the theater, the speech will be received loud, clear and intelligibly. Similar pattern of sound amplification can be also observed in the spectrum. The frequencies or the timbre of the sound measurements confirm that sound frequencies above approximately 200 Hz and up to 5 kHz, approximately 4 octaves, are strongly amplified and help the clear perception of the speech formats. Well, as we have seen, the theatre of Epidavros is perfectly tuned to harvest the sound from the sources on the stage, the ground reflection, but also the diffractions at the edges of the rows. The slope of the sitting area was designed to match such acoustic transmission, and the steeper slope in the upper rows helps speech perception at such longer positions. Steeper or gentle slope angle in the design of the theatre would not achieve such optimal harvesting of the sounds, and you can see that such parameters were not optimized in other ancient theatres. So most other theatres would have inferior acoustic performance, both in terms of speech intelligibility, but also in terms of the quality, the timbre of the sound. There is very little written evidence about this. Our main source is the book of Roman architect Marcus Vitruvio Pollio, who lived in the 1st century BC. His books describe the architectural design principles of public buildings, including theatres. And here you can read the actual relevant text. Amazingly, he describes what we have already discussed and is our current state-of-the-art in scientific knowledge. The sound reaching the listeners will be harmonious and clear without any interference. The sound wave just touches the edges of the benches, reaching the listeners unobstructed. It seems that such principles were adopted in the design of Epidavros, and possibly also in other ancient theatres, not in such an optimized and perfect way. We don't really know how the ancient architects bridged any theoretical knowledge that they had at the time, possibly from geometry and from physics, with such optimal perceptual result for the listeners. How they managed to bridge in such a holistic way theory and experience. This concludes the episodes of the acoustics of ancient theatres. Eventually, there will be another episode looking at the characteristics of the ancient theatrical masks. During ancient drama performances in period, all actors wore such masks, which affected the sound of the voice, and possibly they had an acoustic functionality. I hope that you found something interesting in this presentation, and I look forward for your comments. I hope that you follow up the next episodes. Thank you for watching.